All right, Irina, welcome to the Lessons of a Lashpreneur. So why don't you tell everybody where your business is located and your team structure and what you guys specialize in as far as services?
So, hi everyone. We're in South Carolina, Hilton Head Island, and I have two team members and myself, and we do lash extensions mostly, and a little bit of lash lift and brow lamination and tinting.
Love it, love it, love it. So for those of you who don't know, Hilton Head Island is what kind of target market is out there?
It is very high end. People come here to golf and retire mostly. And we do have a portion of tourists that come during the summertime, but we're in such an area where we target locals, retiree
Yeah.
people.
Yes, very, very high end. It is a very luxury location. And so she's been able to grow her sales very quickly and start to build out her team. So kind of talk to me about last year and what growth you had, what challenges you faced that kind of led you to going, I think I might need to get some support to take it to that next level.
So my business is relatively new. We are just going to be 2 years in August. So I kind of just opened up, and it was always a dream of mine to have my own place, like many people, I think. And then you're like, okay, now what? You hit that point where you just don't know. Well, like that's great to have a location. I have some clients, but what do I do next? And I was actually mindfully looking for the business coach that can teach me how to analyze data specifically. That was my request. And I did have a couple of people prior to you, and it was just not quite exactly what I was looking for. So I saw a couple of your reels on Instagram, I think, and I was like, let me see. So I listened to a couple of podcasts because, I've had some experiences before. I wanted to do my research before signing up for the program. And last year I didn't know what to do with my business technically.
Yeah. So when did you hire your first team member?
I hired her in, I believe it was April of last year. And I hired her because
Okay.
I got to the point where I needed more help.
Yeah. So what was the hiring process like for this? Is that the same team member you still currently have?
Yes,
One
yes.
of the,
Oh my
yeah.
God,
Okay.
it was. I interviewed her. I asked questions that were important to me. I did not make her do a set for me because I knew that I'm gonna train you some things. But my commission structure that I created for myself
Yes.
is more of a trouble now. And I had no idea back then. I thought it sounds smart, but I didn't do any research. I just came up with the idea to have this like levels of sales they make, like a tiered based commission, but obviously it's wasn't the best.
So to kind of give some context for that, what you created was she has a kind of a base commission, which is, correct
Yeah.
me if I'm wrong, was it 50%
So we
or
have
40%?
tiers. It's more of a
Yeah.
tiered based one. So as soon whatever she makes around 5,000 a month, she makes 40%. Everything before 10,000 is 50. And if she ever makes service sales in a month over 10K, she gets 60%.
Right. And so, correct me if I'm wrong, those numbers were pulled out of a hat. Just
Exactly.
made up out of thin air. Sure
I
sounds
just
good.
felt creative, let's put it this way.
Right? Like, sure, those are nice round numbers. So, kind of talk to me about, after about, so gosh, so you hired her in April and then December is when we had our first call. So talk to me about those kind of 7 months. What did you notice about the money coming in and money going out of the business where you kind of maybe started to figure out that maybe you were overpaying or there was a lot of money going out?
Yeah. I will just say that, by the time I called you and had the first call with you, I felt like a hamster running on the wheel. You know, I felt like I'm running, 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 and I cannot get out of this wheel. That's how I felt. And I honestly, the way of me looking at my business back then was I would open up Square account, look at my sales, and I was just trying to be in the green every month to see some kind of a growth in sales. And to me, I was like, if we're in the red, something is wrong. I had no idea. I didn't even think about sales and profit as there's a difference between those. To
Wow.
be
Okay.
fully transparent here.
Yeah.
So Yeah, when I started seeing my paychecks and the paychecks that I pay to my employee are sometimes even higher, I was like, I'm not doing this right. Something is obviously off in my business. And that's when I realized I need help. I need someone to teach me because I never had this experience before. Because owning a business is not just your skill.
Yeah, 100%. And I think your experience is so common that oftentimes when we're not intentional about the numbers and prioritizing profitability, which ultimately becomes owner's pay, uh, I see this so often that the team members are making more than the owner. And look, I'm all for team members being successful. However, it's usually not because the owner is paying themselves even a livable wage. In fact, a lot of times we get people who have $500,000 businesses and they're not even paying themselves at all because everything's going back into the business. They're locked in the treatment room 6 and 7 days a week because they're overpaying on labor costs that the owner has to be in the treatment room to produce sales that then pay the labor costs. Because to your point, in with only looking at sales as the only indicator of the business working or not, actually profit is the only thing that will tell you if the business is working or not. Because if your business is not profitable, it's a hobby and it's a very expensive, time consuming hobby. And I think to your experience, that's what you were noticing is like, wow, her paycheck is stellar. Now, she has been a really great team member for you. I think you hired a great person.
Yeah.
What usually will end up happening, and I don't know if you've had this experience or not, generally speaking, when we have such high commission levels, they don't tend to want to work as much because they don't need to, right? If she can come in and make 50, 60% on, and you charge really high prices, like you're in a luxury area. Have you noticed that there is sometimes when you find it's hard to get her to work because she kind of financially doesn't need to because she's making great money when she's there?
Oh, absolutely. It is so true. In fact, that when I hired her, she was like, I want to work as much as I can. She just, finds some purpose in just coming to work. And I was like, great, let's just, have you here 5 days a week, take some time off. And then in about 4 or 5 months, I started seeing some time blocks here and there. And then we got to the point where I could not schedule any new people for her just because time block was everywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and trying to even increase her work hours so that you can have her have more clients. There's
Mhm.
just not that motivation to do so. And I think that's a slippery slope because I want to be mindful of people thinking that we're trying to take advantage of team members.
Yeah.
However, they are there to work to make a living. And we want them to make a living. Yes, we want them to reach whatever financial goals they want to reach as long as it is growing the business. And oftentimes, when we have such high commission rates, they are making a great living, but off of your back and off of at the cost of the business. So the business is not profitable, but that person's living the high life, and it's a little bit backwards. And I'm all for pouring into team members, however, not at the cost of the business and not at the cost of your stress level, your time with your family. Business owners are the ones that are taking on all of the risk. You are the one that has poured more into the business and is the one that is going to figure out the business ups and downs. A team member who isn't committed on that level, which they shouldn't be, they're not the business owner, right? They just don't have as much skin in the game. And so that's where some, I'm going to say entitlement, right, comes in, where they're like, cool, I don't have to work. Like if I want to show up, I don't. If I call in sick, if I don't feel like working today. And it's really hard to build a scalable business model when we have that kind of attitude in place. And so now talk to me about you've recently hired another team member. Talk to me about that hiring process in comparison and your intention in hiring this newer team member.
Oh my God, I don't even know where to start because I want to say that your Kajabi app, the amount of information you have there is just unbelievable. And when it comes to specifically hiring process, I had no idea that I need to come up with like a vision and mission, and the core values. I was like, I thought that they know it, I was
They
like,
should
they
just pick up my
know.
vibe and my essence.
Yeah. So, and I never thought of hiring someone just based on your mission and make sure that that's, they're passionate about your vision and what your values are for your business. I always thought like, well, I should just hire someone who is on time, someone who looks neat, and who can sit down and work for a long period of time. Like this is going to be funny, but I used to ask people, have you, like, how long can you sit down and do puzzles for?
I mean, that's one question. That's interesting.
Right.
Why don't we have that on our list? Huh. Okay. What's your
But,
attention span? Any history of ADD in there?
but also biggest part of this whole hiring process was for me to see how can I calculate how much can I pay someone, so it's a good, fair number for them, but it's also something that will work out for my business, and I'm not just getting another, like another person on my shoulders I need to carry through. So that was like an eye-opening thing for me, that I can actually just sit down, look at numbers, and calculate what it's going to take for me to bring in someone else.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think so inside of our Society Accelerator program, when you join the mastermind, you get access to that program too. It has the first thing we put you through in these two programs is the financials. Because we determine based on your business at current state, what is a profitable pay rate for a labor cost. That will indicate, is it even minimum wage, right? Because there's minimum wage laws that like at a minimum, you have to pay them this amount. And we only teach to hourly for very specific reasons. We have another podcast where it talks about why commission to me just doesn't make sense for trying to build a scalable business. And if that is not a rate that is either legal because it's below minimum wage, or it's just like for your area, you were concerned about it's so high, it's such a high cost to live there that you were struggling to find a decent hourly rate that anybody would work for. Yeah. And how did you end up shifting your perspective and kind of using the numbers to find the rate that made sense and being able to find a candidate that would work for that rate?
I mean, I had to play with those numbers a little bit. I'm definitely, I had to come up on a higher per hour rate. But I also want to add to your statement about the commission and the hourly pay. That shift it's such a game changer for the business when you can shift from commission to hourly, and a lot comes into that, but just being able to know that I have to probably re-say that. I lost my foot there.
Go ahead.
But yeah,
this part, go back. So let's start with let's start back with, I want to follow up on what you said about hourly versus commission.
Yeah, that's the biggest shift for me. Like, and I now see so much more benefits in being in paying someone hourly versus commission. Commission is just, it's not sustainable. That's how I would put it.
Can you get a little bit more detailed of what your experience has been of that? Mm-hmm. Because you still have, is the other girl still commission?
Yes.
Okay, so you have both actually in your business currently. So talk to me about what that difference is for you.
Well, first of all, planning, financial planning is much easier when you have someone who is hourly. You know what their paycheck should be like. You can plan how many clients they should have, what kind of promos you can run for them. That is so much easier. But then also when you come to running sales and promotions, people on commission, like whatever discount you give away, that will take a chunk of their commission out as well. And I think at some point they become sensitive about, so like you have to run it by their side, make sure they're okay with this kind of promo you're running. And that's just too much, to negotiate with everyone there. So yeah. Yeah.
So if I'm hearing you, it's, I hadn't even considered that. When you run promotions, does the business take the discount and eat that cost, which then tanks your profit margins altogether? Or do you have to get permission from the service provider to run a marketing promotion where you may be offering 20% off a full set and they have to give okay when this is what the business needs to build them clientele, but they may not be willing to give up part of their commission? Yeah.
Yeah. In that particular case, because my girl's commission depends on the tiers, it's like the more promotions I run, the more she needs to work to hit certain tier. Does that make sense? So she gets a little, I wouldn't say upset, but definitely sensitive to the sales that you run, and maybe, express some opinions on those. And sometimes it's like, well, we have to bring people in the door, and that's what that's the way we do it this month. So yeah, that was one of the things that I faced that I didn't realize before too, but I faced.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought thought about that. That's another reason why commission not ideal. And because to your point, now that the employee is starting to have an impact on how you run your business because you don't want to upset her, you don't want to frustrate her. She's also only looking at sales, not when we can get you a new client in and then you retain them, your monthly sales start to go up. So she's not looking at the long term. She's just looking at like, oh, well, why would I take this discounted client when I could be taking a full price paying client? And it really kind of inhibits your ability to market in whatever strategy you need to. And to your point, like when it's looking at the numbers, when we have a flat hourly rate team member as their base pay, when she starts increasing in sales, your expenses don't go up. And that is the number one reason why it is so challenging to have commission, because as commission sales go up, and for your particular commission structure, as her sales go up significantly, your costs go up significantly because she can earn more and more commission the more she sells.
Yeah.
So from a business standpoint, I would almost be like, I don't want her selling more because then my labor costs are going sky high. Then my profit tanks because where's that extra commission coming from? The profitability of the business. So motivationally as a business owner, I would be less inclined to build her a clientele because I'm being punished. Like the profit margins in the business are being punished the better she does. Now, I like to set up a win-win because it's not that I want team members not to be motivated by money. I like that base hourly pay. And the one thing that we do teach in this program is how to set up performance-based incentives where it is a commission on basically essentially a commission or a bonus structure that as they perform well, as they do their job and we're excited about their growth, we want to share in that growth with them so we can give them a bonus when they go above and beyond. But we have a flat hourly rate for the job that they do. We track them on the job that we do with data. This is all stuff we teach in the program. And then for those that are contributing to the growth of the business, that their sales are increasing, that they're retaining clients, that they're selling retail, there's different bonuses they can earn financially or otherwise to be able to increase their wages on top of their hourly. And another big part of this that a lot of people don't consider when it comes to someone's wage, right? When we're talking hourly pay, because the objection we get is like, well, McDonald's sometimes pays more than what I can profitably afford. Yeah, but you don't really get tips at McDonald's, do you?
Yeah.
Right? And so tips can almost be double their wage sometimes, depending on what you're able to pay. And that's a massive part in your kind of courting of an employee candidate of, hey, by the way, on average, our clients tip 20% on an hour-long service that's $75. That's $15 for that hour that it's not coming from me. It's coming from your relationship with that client.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I also think that it's much easier for them to plan as well. You know, it's much more predictable for your employees too.
Yeah, because here's the thing, and pay structure is always a conversation around employee retention, right? We get to the point, especially with high commission rates, where we can't pay them anymore. And so we are likely to lose that employee because we can't incentivize them any further because it would mean less profit or no profit and a loss at the business. And it just doesn't make sense to retain that employee at such a high cost. So when we're talking about having pay structure and benefits as a reason why someone would continue to stay, there's a lot of benefits and reasons someone would stay when you've hired based on your mission, your vision, and your values, which is what we teach you in this program. And when you have profitability in the business and you have margin there, excess there, you can do things like offer PTO, right? Because there's money left over. So you can offer paid time off, which in a 50% commission business, it's very rare that that would be something that would be available. You can offer mental health days. You can offer perks and benefits. You can offer maybe a retirement plan, medical benefits eventually. You can provide continuing education, retreats, outings, team building events. You can have all of this stuff that is keeping someone around that isn't just tied to pay. Pay is not the only reason why someone would stick working with you. If you have a team that is only there for how much you can pay them, you have a very slippery slope because as soon as you can't pay them more, they're gone.
Yeah.
Talk to me about kind of maybe your favorite part of the mastermind. There's so many aspects to it, but what's been your favorite?
Oh God. It's the girls, the support you get there. It's just, you know, it's good to talk to people that go through the same thing as you go and exchange, you know, all the hard things, but also get advice from them.
Love it. Yeah, we have a killer group. This group, I love this group. Okay, so I'm
I
going to share
also
some.
want to say, I'm sorry, but I also want to say that just the amount of information that I saw on your app when I first gotten access to this, I was blown. I was like, this is exactly what I needed. There's just like so much more in your program that every business owner needs to know, especially, like in the beauty industry. It's starting from marketing and all the finances and all the other stuff. It is just, it's so valuable. I cannot describe it enough.
I love that. So what she's talking about is we have our content, like our pre-recorded trainings and our step-by-step how-tos and the processes inside of an app or a website called Kajabi, and that's where all of our courses and whatnot are. So that's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, it's just, oh my God, the information there is so valuable.
Yeah, and we actually end up updating that quite regularly, especially for the mastermind. Like even today, inside of the Facebook group for the mastermind, one of the members was asking about, she's trying to get her team from commission to hourly, and we're setting up schedules for team. And I was like, well, you're probably going to have a situation where you need to have them submit their availability, and you've got to start planning out schedules. And if they can't work Saturdays, then we need to hire for Saturdays and all this kind of stuff. So I created like a little form. Now that's going to go in the resource section for anybody else to use of like, hey, here's a schedule request form. So we update those resources as questions come up. So there's always usually something in our resources of like, hey, you guys have the employee handbook. Hey, what do you do for this? Hey, how do I approach this? How do I hire for an assistant manager? It's like, we've got all of that just for you to go in, put into your business, and off you go. I love Coach Victoria in that program because I call her the queen of the binders. She's got binders and processes for days, and they're all in there for you guys to utilize. Oh, I love it. I love it. All right. So I'm going to talk over what your growth has been since you joined the program in January. And these are kind of fun numbers. And then I want you to give me kind of your unfiltered response to talking about what you've experienced over the past 5 months and how your business has changed. So you have increased sales every single month. So starting from January, you were doing about $17,000, and now you're about $22,000. In April was the last month we checked. So in 4 months' time, you've increased sales by $5,000. You have also pulled back on how much you're working in the treatment room. So you specifically are only taking clients 3 days a week. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
And more importantly, because, if you're making 22K in the business, but you're spending 30K, well, that's not healthy. Your profit has gone up significantly. Mm-hmm. So you started off at a loss in January of 10%. You had a lot of expenses coming out in January. And March last we checked, because April's numbers weren't quite ready, you were at 18.5%. So your profit has increased almost 30%, 28% in 4 months.
Yeah.
What is your initial kind of like reflection back on when we put those numbers?
Yeah. When we had our last call with you and you told me that I doubled my numbers comparing to the last year, I didn't know that because I'm trying to keep up, just like take all the information in. And anyway, I called my husband after that and I was like, can you believe this? But it's amazing. It's so much better and so much easier now.
Yeah. And I didn't mention that was the next, so you brought it up. Last year, I think you were doing, in January, you did 8,000, February, 9,000, March, 11,000, April, 12,000. And that was all you. That was just you, right? And so you have 2 team members, you've doubled sales, and now you're working less. When I say stop trading your time for money and build out a team so that you can get more time freedom back, this is what I'm talking about. Irina is the exact proof of that. She's doubled her business. She's increased her profit by 30% in 4 months, and she's working less in the treatment room.
Yeah. And I actually this week, so normally because we have a new girl on Wednesdays and Tuesdays, I train her. I am there just to work on the business. But before, when I was working all the time, I have Sunday and Monday off. Monday, half of the day when my son is at a daycare, I always work on business. So last week on Monday, I was like, what should I do?
I'm
like,
bored.
Yeah, because I have Tuesday and Wednesday when I train that girl, I still have enough time to do whatever I need to do on computer and social media and all that other stuff. So on Monday, I was like, maybe I should go to the team.
Right? Like maybe I should get a hobby or something.
Yeah. And, I started thinking that, we're getting close to when I don't have to be there on Tuesdays, when my team member is just going to get clients and it's not necessarily I have to be there. So I just was like, oh my God, I can do something with my son. I can take him to the beach again. And, it's just, I was like, finally, and yeah, it feels so good to have that time back to you. And I'm starting to look, how can I work less and be in the treatment room less and less now? So
Yeah. It's an interesting experience, isn't it? Where it takes some time for your nervous system to come down from that hustle, that urgency of like, if I'm not working, something's wrong, right?
yeah,
Because you're so used to trading your time for money. You're like, oh my God, are sales going to tank because I'm not working and I'm not panicked? And there's like a laundry list of 50 things to do. When you're a business owner, there's always something to do.
yeah,
Always.
always.
Prioritizing rest and time off and time with family is a mindset, not a destination. Right. And so I love that it's like you're starting to see that in small doses. Because if I just gave you like a full 4 days off a week, you would panic, right? There would be some like adjustment, some rebound emotions. And it's like now you're starting to see, ooh, I have Mondays off and I'm fine. Business is fine. We're actually growing, like all of these numbers that we're tracking, right? The data is informing you that it's okay for you to pull back, because otherwise your feelings might feel like you're not doing enough or you're not doing what you used to do. And so now you're looking at, okay, well, when your second team member is fully trained, you can actually pull back another day because your team members are trained to operate and run the business when you're not there. So you don't have to necessarily be there. Maybe you check in, but you don't have to be there. So now it's like, wow, what can I do? I can go invest time with my son, which is a much higher value for you than anything the business could provide.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely. And also, you've become so much more productive when you have time to do something for your business outside of just providing the services.
Yeah.
You know, just your business becomes much better too.
Yeah, because you're not taking a full day of clients and then you're like, oh God, I got to do marketing. And you're just like checking a box of looking at the financials or returning a call to a customer or doing marketing. You're actually showing up and being present and putting your best foot forward, which comes across in your marketing. And you find systems and processes where you can get more efficient at doing that so it doesn't take up as much time.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Well, let's wrap up and say, if you could go back in time to Irina in, let's say, November or December, and she was kind of like, man, I need help. Okay, there's this program. What advice would you give her as she's weighing the decision of joining this program now that you have seen some results from it?
yeah. I mean, I would just say just do it. You have to do it. Just do it, because this is going to be, honestly, in this 2 years, the best investment that I've done in my business was this program. Like, without any, you know, exaggeration there. Like, this is the best investment I have ever done, because I've learned so much, so much. And yeah, I was a little bit nervous only because of my previous experiences. So I would tell myself, just trust this, trust your heart, because in my heart I felt like this is going to be what I need. So, but it was, yeah, it was really, really good experience for me.
I love that. Thank you for that. That's a big compliment. I know there's a lot of choices out there. There's a lot of different ways you can skin a cat to grow your business. And we really look, here's what happens when you guys invest in this program. Whenever there's somebody who makes an investment into the coaching, it is an equal investment on my end to your success. Now, I can't do it for you, right? I can't make the decisions for you. But what we will do is we will not let you go. We will not let you settle. We will not let you hide. We will support you. We've had so many different personal life stuff come up that has nothing to do with business. But when my coaches and my team look at you, we look at you as a whole person who is running a business. You are a woman, you are a mom, you are a business owner, you are a sister, you are all these things, right? And it's like we are invested in you as a whole human and making sure that we're helping support you to thrive, to get what you want, which for most of us is time back, because we don't get any more time. We can always make more money. We can always sell our business. We can always shut our business down, do whatever, but you as a human do not get more time back in this world. And so that's where we really focus in, is what is going to get you the most time back.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Love it. Well, thank you so much, Irina. If you guys are interested in applying for Momentum Mastermind Season 4, the application deadline is June 9th. So applying doesn't mean that you get in the program, doesn't mean you have to commit. It just allows us the opportunity to jump on a call to figure out where you're at in your business and where you want to be. Now, the mastermind minimum is $100,000 in annual sales, so you have to be on pace for that, and you have to have at least one team member. If that is not you and you're interested in hiring your first team member profitably, we have Society Accelerator available as well. Just again, go ahead and apply at thelashpreneur.com/build-a-team, and then you can be like Irina. Maybe we'll have that be the slogan for next launches. Be like Irina. I love it. All right, Irina, thanks so much.
Thank you
Bye,
so
guys.
much. Have a good one.